For most of scientific history, we were taught a very confident lie. Animals don't grieve. They can't. They don't have the brains for it. Then in 2018, an orca spent 17 days pushing her dead calf through the ocean, refusing to let it sink, refusing to give up, for over 1,000 miles. And she wasn't the only one. Elephants do it. Chimps do it. Even birds do it. So either every one of these animals is malfunctioning in exactly the same way, or we got something very wrong about what's going on inside their heads. That confident lie had a name in science: anthropomorphism, the accusation of projecting human emotions onto animals that don't actually have them. Researchers were trained to avoid it at all costs. If your elephant looks sad, you weren't supposed to say she was sad. You were supposed to say she was displaying reduced activity levels. But the more scientists actually watched animals up close, for years at a time, in the wild, the harder that clinical distance became to maintain. So let's actually look at the evidence. Starting with the animal most associated with grief in the animal kingdom, the elephant. Elephants don't just walk past the bones of a dead herd member. They stop. They go quiet. They touch the skull and the tusks gently with their trunks, sometimes for long stretches of time, running their trunks slowly over the bones like they're checking them, remembering them. Something, researchers have documented elephants standing guard over a dead calf for days, refusing to leave the body, chasing away scavengers. Mothers have been seen carrying the corpse of a dead infant for miles, refusing to abandon it even as it decomposed. Entire herds have gone silent and lingered near a death site long after the body itself was gone, as if the location itself carried some kind of meaning. Scientists now have a specific term for this: elephant thanatology, the study of how elephants respond to death. Elephants aren't alone. Chimpanzee mothers have been observed carrying their dead infants for days, sometimes weeks, grooming the body, chasing flies away from it as if refusing to accept it's gone. In one widely studied case in Zambia, an entire chimp troop went quiet and formed a line to inspect the body of a group member who had died, touching it gently one by one, almost like a receiving line at a funeral. Primatologists have also recorded something even stranger: chimps sitting near a dying group member for hours, appearing to keep watch, and then falling into what looks unmistakably like subdued, withdrawn behavior after death, eating less, interacting less, for days afterward. If a human did that, we'd call it mourning without a second thought. It's not just mammals with big brains either. In 2009, a scientist watched 4 magpies approach the body of a dead magpie on the ground. One by one, they walked up, gently pecked at the body, and then stepped back. Then, oddly, each bird flew off and returned with a small piece of grass, laying it beside the corpse, before the group flew away together. The scientist who witnessed it, half-jokingly, called it a funeral. Now, corvids, the family that includes magpies, crows, and ravens, are famous for being unusually intelligent. Crows have been shown to gather around their dead in groups, and some researchers believe they may be studying the death, almost gathering information about what killed the bird and whether the same danger threatens them. Dolphins show behavior eerily similar to that orca we talked about at the start. Mother dolphins have been filmed carrying dead calves on their backs or pushing them through the water for days at a time, refusing to let them sink. Other dolphins have been seen physically supporting a sick or dying pod member near the surface, helping it breathe, in what looks almost like an attempt at resuscitation. When that fails, the group often lingers near the body for hours, circling slowly. Now let's bring this closer to home. You've probably seen the viral stories. Dogs that wait at the grave of their owner for years. A dog in Japan named Hachiko who kept returning to the same train station every single day for 9 years after his owner died, waiting for a man who was never coming back. But it's not just dogs have been observed becoming withdrawn, losing appetite, and searching the house repeatedly after another household dog dies. Behavior that vets increasingly recognize as a genuine grief response, not just a change in routine. Some animal hospitals now actually let a surviving pet see and sniff the body of a companion animal after euthanasia, specifically because it seems to reduce prolonged searching and distress afterward. Even animals we don't usually associate with emotional complexity show this. Giraffe mothers have been observed standing over a dead calf for days, occasionally nudging it, refusing to move on with the herd. Sea lion mothers have been seen carrying dead pups for extended periods. Even domestic cats, Animals famous for their emotional independence have shown behavioral changes after losing a companion animal, more vocalizing, more searching, changes in eating and sleeping. The pattern keeps showing up in species that have almost nothing in common evolutionarily, which is exactly what makes scientists sit up and pay attention. Now, here's where we need to slow down, because not every scientist is convinced this is grief in the way humans experience it. Skeptics point out a real problem. We can observe behavior, but we can't directly measure what an animal is feeling inside. A mother carrying a dead infant could be grieving. Or it could be a strong maternal instinct simply failing to switch off. The brain not yet registering that the infant is gone. An elephant touching bones could be genuine memory and loss. Or it could be curiosity or scent investigation with no emotional weight behind it at all. This is the central problem of animal grief research. Behavior that looks like grief from the outside doesn't automatically prove an internal experience of loss on the inside. Scientists call this the problem of inference. We're inferring an inner world we can never directly access. But here's the counter-argument, and it's a strong one. Grief in humans isn't some magical, separate category either. It's a biological response, built on brain chemistry, on hormones, on attachment systems that evolved specifically to keep parents caring for offspring and social groups bonded together. And those exact same neurological systems, oxytocin, the attachment circuitry in the brain, aren't unique to humans. They exist across mammals and in modified forms across birds, too. If the biological machinery for attachment and loss exists in these animals, and the behavior we see matches what that machinery would be expected to produce, at what point does skepticism become its own kind of bias? Many researchers now argue that demanding impossible to obtain proof before admitting animals grieve says more about human exceptionalism than it does about animal minds. This isn't just an academic argument. It has real consequences. If animals genuinely experience loss, it changes how we think about keeping them in captivity, how we handle livestock, how we treat companion animals at end of life, and how much suffering we're comfortable causing in the name of convenience. Zoos have already started changing practices around elephants specifically because of grief research, keeping family groups together longer, and in some cases allowing herds time near a deceased member's body instead of immediately removing it. Farms and shelters are beginning to reconsider how animals are separated from bonded companions. The science here isn't just satisfying curiosity, it's quietly reshaping how humans treat every animal we share a life with. Let's go back to that orca for a moment. 17 days, over 1,000 miles. A mother refusing to let go of a calf that was never coming back, supported the entire way by a pod that could have easily moved on without her. Maybe we'll never get perfect scientific proof of what was happening inside her mind during those 17 days. But maybe that's the wrong question to be asking in the first place. Because whatever you call it, instinct, attachment, grief, something in her refused to let go. And something in nearly every social species we've ever studied closely enough seems to do the exact same thing. Humans didn't invent loss. We just gave it a name. So the next time your dog waits by the door a little too long, or searches the house after another pet is gone, maybe the more interesting question isn't whether that's really grief. Maybe it's why we ever assumed we were the only ones capable of feeling.